right, welcome back to another installment of the Buddy Book Club. Thanks for checking us out, and thanks to Pace Car Joe for the intro music. I'm Dylan, here with my good buddy Keith. We're going to deep dive into some popular books. Probably not going to be your typical book club. We're not here to discuss, symbolism and motifs. We're keeping it lighthearted and fun. That being said, Keith, how you doing? And what are we reading this time around?
I'm a little disappointed you didn't give me a nickname there. I was expecting one, and
Oh shit! I forgot about that. All right, your wizard of words.
there we go. All right, we're back. Thank you. We are reading The Hunting Party today. I listened to the audiobook, so I didn't actually read it. So
Lucy Foley.
Yep, Lucy
She read
Foley.
it. This is a modern murder mystery novel, so not your Agatha Christie, but it's going to be a little more modern. I think that was her goal here. I think she's got 5 books out, all of them written since 2015. This being her third. You've read another one of her books, right?
The Guest List.
Yes.
And it's very, very similar to this. It's like you said, the original whodunit type stuff, and I had never read anything like that, and so I'm right into it.
Well, I was going to ask, what's your experience with these kind of? I mean, really, my experience with this is the Hardy Boys. Like that's as close as I have to anything.
Yeah.
Because my mom used to, if I read 5 Hardy Boys books, she would buy me a Nintendo 64 game. So this is a British novel. Lucy Foley is British. I'm reading the physical book, and you, like you alluded to, you're listening to the audio book. So we're going to come at it from a little bit of different angles. Sometimes I feel like the audiobooks don't do the books justice. I don't think that's the case this time around, because the way this book is written is like from each person's perspective, or at least a few of them. So is the audiobook different actors doing different?
Yeah. Which is nice. Yeah. So each, and like, then you can kind of get the personality of the person. So for instance, Miranda, by listening to it, you're like, oh, this woman seems kind of like a bitch, right? Like you can kind of get that through the audio of her talking. Whereas an Emma is like soft spoken, kind of reserved. So instantly you kind of learn the character through the voice, which really helps. Whereas obviously sometimes you have to kind of make that up in your head.
Cool. So before we dive into The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, I think it's important, because we're going to have a nice conversation here, is to not be parched. No one wants to be parched when you're having, a nice, long, intelligent conversation, seemingly intelligent. So normally we like to have, a cocktail or drink based on the content of the book, but Lucy seems to like to imbibe herself. So she wrote in a few different drinks for us within the context of this book. So I don't know if you caught any of these, but one option is cava. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's a sparkling wine, but one of the characters in the book said it tastes like vomit, so I'm going to pass on that. Dom Perignon, as the classy people call it. Our main characters in this book bought a case of it with them on vacation, which is 12 bottles. I mean, I think a bottle of Dom is like $150. So these guys.
Have you ever had a bottle of Dom?
I've had some Dom. I haven't had a bottle of Dom.
Okay. Yeah. Is it like, can you tell the difference at all?
I don't have that kind of palate. Who fucking knows? Give me the Moe or whatever.
Yeah. A little OJ in there, easy peasy.
I can't remember what the crappy one is that like you used to drink back in the day, like Krug or something like that. Yeah, whatever. But I'm not going to spend $150 on a bottle of champagne while we discuss. So I'm going to pass on that as well. Another one is the Boulevardier, which is a delightful sounding drink with 1 part bourbon to half part vermouth and Campari. You garnish that with an orange peel. So that sounds delightful. I think if someone wanted to hit the pause button and go make one of those, they should. But the only problem is this book is set in Scotland. So if you're drinking bourbon in Scotland, it just seems absurd, sacrilegious.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, you got to go Scotch, maybe on the rocks, maybe a little water in there. I know Scotch is a tough thing to down, especially in the winter time, which is the setting, which kind of brings us right into that. But they're basically on this hunting lodge grounds that's like deserted, that's just getting shitloads of snow, freezing. The only thing you can drink there is Scotch to warm you up, right?
Agreed. So we're going with Scotch. Pour yourself
I
a
like
little
that.
glass,
There you
scotch
go.
and water if you want. Single malt, ideally. Seems
This will be
apropos.
released on Monday morning, so yeah, continue to use that advice on Monday morning as well. That's fine.
All right. Well, now that we got our beverages squared away, let's get into the book. The gist of Hunting Party is pretty much 9 friends spend New Year's Eve at a secluded estate in the Scottish Highlands. They're staying in a lodge there. This is their annual holiday trip that they do every year. This time around, it gets a little flip turned upside down when one of the friends is murdered. To add to the tension, a snowstorm comes out of nowhere, shutting down all routes in and out of the estate. The group is now locked in with a murderer in their midst. Scottish Highlands, murderer in the midst. That checks out for me so far. I'm digging it, with that,
Hmm.
just with that kind of stuff. But Keith, minus the murdering, is this your type of New Year's Eve holiday?
I think New Year's Eve is not one you should be spending with a couples retreat. That's just my opinion. I feel like couples retreat is meant for off at a beach location, off like where everyone can do their own thing kind of thing, right? You can go off, fuck around, you come back, you have a nice little barbecue, everyone gets drinks going. This is like you get stuck in a house with everyone, nothing to do, and everyone's thorns are showing, and you basically just see everyone the couple's worst things. This sounds fucking miserable to me. This is not what you want to do on New Year's Eve, right? Am I wrong with that?
I couldn't disagree with you more. Couldn't disagree with
Wow.
you more. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
This place sounds sick. It's
That,
big, the big fire in the main hall, cozy chairs, stag heads on the wall, tons of board games. I mean, the place has an entire glass facade, which is kind of creepy. So good setting for a murder mystery.
mhm.
But it reminds me of there was this really crappy movie called 13 Ghosts that came out with Shannon Elizabeth back in the day. Horror movie, but the house was all made of glass, and it was pretty cool looking. And so it kind of reminds me of that. I'm
The,
hoping
the
Lucy
thing is,
Foley.
this what's missing here is the skiing. So that's where you get away for the day, where they don't have anything, right? Like at least from the
That's true.
beginning part. So like if you're just stuck inside and there's nothing to do, I'm just imagining having to go on a trip with some of these characters. Oh, this would be miserable. This would not be fun.
I mean, they're down to play Twister and stuff. Like they seem a fun enough group.
That's true. They were popping pills, playing Twister. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a little
Also,
sexual groping, but yeah, it's fine.
also house party on New Year's Eve better than nightclub.
Oh, a
No question.
1,000%. Yeah.
1,000 out of 1,000.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's either I feel like it's one of the two. You either have a fucking ripper and you have a huge house party with like, that's when you're your college and like post college days, or if you're with couples, I feel like it's a ski resort or you're like a beach weekend. So.
Maybe I'm just the old man, and especially as a single guy, I feel like I have even more stake
This
to
would
be
be the
going
worst
out.
for a single guy.
But I
No.
disagree. I'd be down. I'd be
Oh,
down.
okay.
I
All
mean,
right. All
you
right.
get to you like they obviously decided to pile their money together, buying a
Yeah.
shit ton of food, which I love to do. Buy a shit ton of food, make some great meals,
You're
hang out,
Emma. You're
drink
Emma
great
in this
wine.
book.
I am Emma. Maybe I'm the murderer.
Oh, okay.
So like we said, this is these 9 friends, 4 sets of couples, and then Katie, who's the odd one out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the 9 of them. They think they have this place booked alone, but actually there's an Icelandic couple as well who's staying there, as well as the gamekeeper, who Doug, the gamekeeper, and then the caretaker of the lodge, who also kind of like runs the place, Heather. So those are there's one other guy. I'm not going to even consider him into this because he's not really in the story yet. But just for our listeners out there, we're going to go through the first half of this book. We're not going to go through the whole thing this time around because this is a murder mystery. So we want to kind of bounce some ideas off each other. That's kind of the fun part of having a murder mystery is trying
Guessing
to
who the murderer is.
guessing, trying to tie the threads together. So it's going to be different than our other podcasts that we have out there. So check in next week and we'll do the second half. So with that being said, we don't know halfway through the book, which is where we stopped. We stopped at chapter 25, after chapter 25. We don't know at this point who was murdered. They open it up because, you have to get people hooked. So they open it up with them finding the dead person. The book kind of takes place, like we said, in first person perspective, and it takes place after the body was found, and then they kind of rewind 3 days to when everyone's showing up at the lodge. So we don't know who the murderer is, obviously, and we don't know who was murdered, but we're going to get some ideas out there based on some of the clues that Lucy has given us throughout this first 150 pages, or probably 4 hours in your audiobook. I don't know exactly.
There you go. There you go.
So I think we start off at the top. Who do you think was killed? Who was it?
Going right into
Who's
it.
dead? Yeah.
First off, I'm not really sure if it's a guy or girl. I thought it was a guy, but I think we had to debate on that, whether it was a guy or girl.
This is why we don't do really intelligent books, because our reading comprehension level is so bad that we came out of this both thinking a different sex had died. I thought it was a woman. You thought it was a guy.
Yeah,
and
that's part of the mystery, I think. I don't know if she meant to do that, but maybe that's part of the mystery.
Okay, so let's act as if it could be either male or
perfect.
female.
Okay, so let's go over, I think, getting a brief overview of the characters too. We'll talk our way into this. So I think the main focus of the book so far has been on Miranda, or at least I feel like she's the strongest personality there, which. Agreed. I don't know. The thing is, I haven't read enough murder mysteries to know, like, is that the person that's going to be or not? But I think somehow she's either going to be the killer or dead. That's one of the two. That's the first person I point to. The other person that I think is another big issue is Katie. There's something up with her. And one of the random questions I had for, like, what needs to be answered is, what's up with Katie? Why is she being so weird to Miranda? Why is she being so standoffish? Obviously, she's a loner. But there's something going on with her that I think in the second half is going to be revealed. That's going to be
doesn't
like
have a boyfriend, bro. She's the only one without.
She's you on this trip, and she's fucking pissed.
Yeah.
So this would be you. That's what you don't realize. Is this trip would suck for you?
No, this. Oh, you said I would be Emma earlier because the food thing. So I would be Emma plus Katie, but I would be Debbie Downer. So Katie at the beginning, like they're getting on the train to go up there.
Yeah.
And there's one off seat, like so every seat is like for a couple, and there's one seat that's not in the same car. And she gets like all pissed and is like, I'll take that seat, like playing the victim. It's like, hon, you're the only single person.
Right.
Like, I get it. It sucks, but like you're gonna take that seat. It's just the way it goes. Like,
yeah, stop like whining about that shit. Who cares?
Yeah, she's like, oh, like I'm not friends with my friends anymore because I'm a big time lawyer. I'm trying to make partner. It's like, okay, like what? We all have choices in life. Do you want to be the partner or do you want to like hang out with your friends? You know, she's got some serious FOMO and it's also affecting her relationships.
Is it that big of a deal to be like, hey, excuse me, do you mind changing seats with me? Or I'm going to sit in the aisle and drink with my friends this whole time on this train. Like, which one do you want? Right? Like, that's an easy choice for the people there. Like, so I don't even know why it's still even a big deal. It shouldn't even be part of the story. Just shut the fuck up, Katie, and just like, just figure it out, right?
Yeah, it definitely sows some strife though between her and the rest of the group and alienates her for sure.
Yeah.
I will 100% agree that Miranda is the focal point of the story so far. I think it's because she's kind of the centerpiece for everyone in the party. Not only is she like gregarious and beautiful, but she also like her, Katie, and Samaria. I think that's the girl's name.
Samira.
Yeah. Her, Katie, and Samira were like best friends, and you know this is all college friends, and then their significant other. So something we can all relate to if you have a good group of friends and then people start getting married or coupling up, you know, those other people come into the group and there is like a weird learning to like feel the vibe of the group phase, which I think we'll get into with Emma. But Miranda's definitely the focal point because she kind of touches everyone in the group emotionally and maybe physically.
Yeah. And I think we could just right off the bat eliminate certain people. So Bo and Nick are literally the only thing they talk about them is that they're gay and that one of them is American. I don't think they add any other part of the story.
Whoa.
So
Bo is a lover of drugs. All right. Don't ever forget.
Oh, I don't remember that being mentioned that heavy. I assumed it was Bo Jackson. Is that right? Because I don't know any other Bo's. No. Definitely Bo Jackson.
Bo's a recovering addict.
Oh, okay. That's right. But but like they're literally nothing part of the story. I think you cross them off the list. Yeah. If they're actually involved, then that's gonna be the biggest shock.
Yeah.
The random European couple or Icelandic couple, That's like, those are just red herrings, right? They're just in there just to like mix it up. They have nothing to do with anything, right?
I
Would you
don't
agree
know.
with that?
I don't know. I like them. That's
Oh,
all I'm saying. I
okay.
like
You
them.
like them for the murder or the death
No, I
or?
just like them. I'm just down.
Yeah.
They're my
Okay.
kind of
So
people.
yeah, no, I'm not. That's neither here nor there. I agree with that.
Let's
Uh,
focus on who's dead, right?
okay.
Who's the dead
Yeah,
person?
I'm gonna say it's Miranda. She's too front and center, too much to the point. She has to be
It
the one
has
again.
to be. It
Yeah,
has to be her. She's the
yeah,
central person of the group,
yeah,
so more people have things not to like about her just because, the more you get to know
yeah.
people, the more you start to dislike them.
And if it's a
um,
guy, which the way I
yeah.
read it, it's
Well,
probably Julian then.
but Miranda, she's also like the reverse Austin Powers, women want to be her and men
Yeah,
want to be with her.
yeah,
And with that being said, jealousy and lust are two powerful
yeah,
murder motivators. Not only, and seven deadly sins: jealousy, lust, or envy, I guess is one. But
yeah.
so I don't even really want to dive too much really into who's dead, because I think the only real potential is her, considering they put so much time into her in the first half of the book. I guess if we're going to talk about other potentials, it could be Julian, her husband.
Yeah. Who, insider trading? I mean, come on. Is that what we're worried
Yeah,
about
he's
here?
involved in some insider trading
Who
and is like
cares?
really upset about it. And Mark knows, his
Yeah,
friend.
I did. Well, let me bring that up real quick because I think that's important. I don't think, obviously, like Mark is like, I know something that you don't know to Miranda this whole time, but I don't think that is what it is. It's obviously something else, right? Because it's never been told or orated. Is that the word? Orated. That's
Or
actually,
rated.
it hasn't been. He keeps on being like, I know something, and she's like, I'm not fucking listening to you, which is like always. You didn't want to listen to me. That's like a common trope.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know.
It's possible that Mark's feeling that he knows something about Julian.
Yeah,
We're all
that's different.
assuming it's the insider trading thing, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't think it
possible it's
is.
not. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I think those are the only two that you circle. Again, we're gonna find out more about these characters, which will probably change our mind. But first half, everything's pointing towards Miranda.
Yeah, I think the only other potentials in the women factor are Emma or Katie. Katie could die, considering she's kind of the loner and seems to, she was alone. So it's possible that she was murdered, because the
Hmm.
best time to murder someone is when they're alone. And Emma, who we'll get into, Emma's a very interesting character in this. So I guess the next thing that I really want to move on to is the whole point of this, who killed whoever this person is.
Hmm.
And I'd like to do it in a ranking fashion.
Okay.
So from least likely to most likely. So, we'll do a countdown, top 10 QBs of all time, except our countdown is who's likely to murder someone in
QB's
this story.
quite likely to be killing someone. QB.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
Who's likely? I'll start it off with
Okay.
my last place person, which is Heather. Heather is the sex-starved caretaker. We get inside her head during the narrative, and the only two people that we hear the story from in the in the present, where the
Hmm.
body's been found, is her and Doug, the game warden or gamekeeper or whatever you want to call him. So when we're in her head at this point, she's like begging for the body not to be in the lock, which is Scottish for lake. So she's begging for it not to be in the lake because that's her happy place. And so unless she has some sort of split personality disorder, it's not her. Simple as that.
Okay. Well, not so fast, my friend, to quote Lee Corso.
Au contraire, mon
Yeah.
frère.
I always never rule out anyone that has a dark past. Whereas Heather, I know she's was a doctor or nurse or some sort of
Yeah,
ER person,
paramedic maybe.
and her husband, was it husband or boyfriend? I kind of missed that.
I think
Jamie, I believe his name was.
husband.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like died in as a firefighter, which I think somehow he came to the ER or something. Something happened there. But the more, I'm just guessing, just based on the way she writes, that there's going to be some other dots connected. Somehow that's connected to other people in this group. What I'm going to go on a limb there. So I'm not moving her there.
Okay.
Very
Who's your
least likely is going to be the random European couple, aka the red herrings. Like I said. Also, did you know red herrings are not birds.
It's a fish.
Yeah, I had no idea that was a fish. I thought it was a bird for sure. I thought it was like, oh, I'm distracted by those birds over there, when really you
Herring?
should be. Yeah. Why the fuck
Yeah, okay.
what do the red herrings have to do with anything? I ended up actually looking it up because I thought it was
Yeah.
a
Okay.
bird.
This is good. What is this?
Yeah, it's the origins are from an English journalist, William Cobbett, a presumably fictional story about how he used red herrings as a boy to throw hounds off the scent of a hare. So
Oh,
yeah, I
oh,
guess.
I like it.
Yeah. So
Also, other herring facts. Dead herrings are what they usually use to bait lobster traps, at least in the New England area. So,
oh, great.
yeah.
These are today I learned. Great stuff here.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is my number. Is that 11 or that'd be
So
11
the
and 10?
Icelandic, the
Yeah,
Icelandic
both of
folk,
them. Yeah.
the couple, they're not yours.
They're
All right.
11 and 10.
I'm just gonna say that they're about halfway down my list. I
Oh,
mean,
wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I like
They're
that we're getting some difference. We know Miranda's dead. It's just a matter now who killed her.
yeah. I mean, this is you see the movie Midsommar or Midsummer, whatever.
No, I heard that's kind of freaky, but yeah.
Good movie, good movie.
Okay,
But
noted.
they're like the Midsommar bloodlusting sex fiends. So I mean, what else do
Nothing
you have
wrong
to
with
say?
that.
Like,
That's
who's
just
gonna
they're
murder?
American, in other words. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so like they're down to murder for sure. Plus, like the guy at dinner is talking about how like the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, getting your blood up. I don't think it's actually them, but they could actually just be murderers,
Okay.
plain and simple. Like, they could just,
I
they could
yeah,
have just been.
they murdered
Yeah,
a bunch of people. It's just not Miranda, is my
yeah,
opinion. I
exactly,
will agree there.
exactly.
We'll agree there. Okay.
All right, so who's your second least likely to be the murderer?
That I think I already referenced it, but Bo and Nick, they don't add anything to the story. They're very low down on my list as well for killers.
Okay, they're not at the bottom of my list. They're close to the bottom.
Okay.
Why they're not at the bottom is because Bo knows that Miranda's got that big bag of drugs and he's got the itch. He's a drug addict. So like maybe he's like, yo, I'm just gonna murder this chick because I need all the ecstasy right now.
I mean, that would be very simple, but yeah, I agree with that. I don't think
Why can't it be a simple answer?
yeah, it could be.
My second least likely to be the
Yeah.
murderer behind Heather is Priya. Priya is the baby.
I was like, the car they drove in? What do you mean?
No. Priya is Giles and Samira's baby.
Okay.
And thanks to some particularly macabre research, supposedly the internet tells me no one under the age of 4 has ever murdered someone. So considering that this is
would be the
legit
best
baby,
twist of all time.
the baby's like, I don't know, a year old, maybe less. So it's probably not her, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
And
that is a great comment.
in these whodunits, we have to consider everyone. So yeah.
And can I get into my read between the lines? Not you to bring that up.
Yeah, of course.
This book is literally all about how having kids are the fucking worst, right? That's literally the whole sentiment of this book. Samira and Giles are the worst two characters. Like we always talk about bad characters. Samira comes in and is like, oh, I have a kid, and then it's rubbing it in Miranda's face, and then she's like guilt tripping everyone that's drinking or doing drugs around her. Like, there's only one way to go in with in this type of group setting with if you have a kid, and it's to be that person that's like, yo, get fucked up for me, let's go, and then you're like encouraging everyone. Yeah, we know you have to feed the kid, and you have to do all that shit. You just keep that quiet. You don't fucking complain about it. You don't do anything. This is a group trip. Nobody wants to give a shit about your fucking kid, Prius, okay? Drive that thing somewhere else. You like that? But yeah.
I think that's fair.
You read between the lines there too? I think that's a theme.
I mean, I did read that between every single line.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
It's more Samira, the mom, I think there's two kinds of parents out there. There's the kind of parents who like when their kid's 6 months old, they like leave it with their parents and they go on vacation and they don't think about it. And then there's the other kind of parents who like couldn't possibly think of leaving their child anywhere ever, which is what Samira seems to be like. And the worst part is that like both of these sets of parents look down on the other. But I totally agree. She's a buzzkill, unfortunately. It's like having a kid
that's
is
fine. I have no problem if someone's like, I just had a kid, I'm not going on this New Year's Eve trip. It's like, that makes sense. But you can't then come and be that person. You just can't. You can't do it. Can't have both.
it does take away from it, but unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Don't have kids, people. I don't know what
Lucy
to tell
Foley
you.
knows what she's doing. She put that in there, and I appreciate it. Good call out.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah,
assuming because of that, you think Samira is probably not a murderer, right?
that's she would be next on my list, and Giles. But if she were dead, I wouldn't be that upset about it. I mean, what? Who said
Wow,
that?
yikes, dude! That kid's gonna grow up without a mom. That's fucked up.
Sorry, that
Well,
was
the
a little
one thing
dark.
we can agree on is both of those people were next on my list. It was Giles and Samira. I mean,
Okay.
Samira's not leaving that baby's side long enough to kill anyone, and she carries the baby monitor around with her, so if she couldn't sneak up on anyone because that thing's crackling
Yeah,
at
that's a
all
good point.
hours. And Giles actually seems like a great dude. Giles is the best, the number one guy to this group you want to hang out with. You
Tell
know,
tell me more.
Giles, he's aging a little early. He's
Yeah,
losing a little hair on the top, but he just likes to have a good time. He
yeah,
just wants to go out there and laugh. He wants to crack jokes. He wants to make fun of people in a friendly manner. Like he's a good hang.
yeah. I
I
trust
think
anyone
he.
named that with Giles too. It's a solid name. It's a very underutilized name as well.
I'm trying to think of Giles. Isn't he like a 007 movie or something? Or I'm trying to think about what that name comes from. It'll come
That's
to me at some point.
James Bond, actually.
No, but I think Giles wants to take the ecstasy,
Yeah.
and Samira kind of gives him the side eye,
Oh,
and
just the
he's like,
worst. Yeah,
no.
agreed.
But you know what? It's what he signed up for, and at the same time, he's the kind of guy who's not gonna resent her for that. He's like, I get it. I got a kid,
Yeah,
and I appreciate it. So overall, he seems like a level-headed, cool guy. Maybe a murderer though,
yeah,
because
yeah.
like that's most
That's the type
likely
of
to
stuff
murder
you
someone.
put down in your stomach, and then it comes out and you murder someone. So that's
Yeah,
that's
maybe he's been like holding back this huge love for Miranda like everyone else,
mm,
and just no one ever, he never let it out, and he's an absolute psychopath.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so they're on my list. Nick and Bo for me was next. So
okay,
let's start getting into our top half because I think
yeah.
we're in the top half here. Who's next on your list for the murderer?
Yeah, I would say, and I coupled them together, so I don't know if that's how you did it, but I would say Emma and Mark. Emma just seems her disposition is too friendly, and then if anyone, I would say Emma's above Mark for killing. Mark is there's too obvious choice in my opinion. Like he's already shown violent streaks. I don't think he would. They're already setting him up to be like a murderer, which makes me right away think it can't be him. You know what I mean? Like it's almost too
Okay.
obvious.
Okay. So Mark is only this low. Mark being this low on your list blows my gourd. And I think
Really.
you're saying the only reason why he's this low on your list is because they're painting him to be the most obvious.
Exactly. You can't take the person he's violent. He does all these things. That makes me think the opposite. You know what I'm saying? You got to re-outthink yourself.
Yeah.
You can't go with
Well,
what makes sense. You have to go the opposite.
Mark and Emma are my number one and number two.
Really? Oh, okay.
Simple as that. I mean,
I
obviously,
mean, takes a
Mark
cook to know
is
a cook. The mind, you know. Shout out to Buddy Ranch Instagram.
Mark is the most obvious, but I don't think just because he's the most obvious, we should immediately like pass it up because who knows what else we have in store for us. But I'll get into that once we get into my top ones. But
Hmm.
my next on the list after Nick and Bo is Katie. Katie the loner.
Okay.
Um, Murderers are often single people. I just made that up, but I'm sticking with it.
I'm
So,
pretty sure aren't spouses the most likely to be murdered? But anyways,
well,
go
like
on.
I'm talking about like not
Oh, like
killing your
serial
spouse.
killers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
not killing
Okay.
your spouse.
Yeah.
Um, so Katie's next on my list, even, and the only thing is murderers are often single. She's a lawyer. I guess she could like know the law and how to get away with it. So this could
Hmm.
be like a big plan for her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like she has enough motive. She's just kind of sad. So like I mean this seems horrible, but like if she was gonna kill anyone, it seems like she'd probably kill herself.
Jesus
So
Christ. Uh,
don't fucking cut that because it's true. Um,
You're not wrong.
I just don't think she has enough motive to like hurt anyone else physically.
Okay. I had her as number one.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think I already mentioned it, but I think Katie and Miranda, there's a weird relationship there, which we don't really know what's going on. And that there's something going on there where Katie, I feel like, is going to snap or something's going to happen, or Miranda's going to snap and it's going to force Katie to do something. That's what I'm leaning towards right now.
Okay. So Katie's your number one. After
Yeah.
we finish this list, I want to come back to that. So remind me
Okay.
because
I don't know if we want to get into it now, but Miranda Stalker, I think, is a very important to
yes. So
bring
part of
up
this
before
whole
we get to the killer, I think.
so
But
part of this whole thing is that Miranda has a stalker, and this
yeah.
stalker was with her throughout college and actually after college, but then in the last couple of years has gone away. And the stalker would sneak into her apartment and steal things and then like send them back to her with notes. And I think she has this like weird relationship with her stalker where it's like she likes the fact that like someone likes her that much but
Yeah.
is also like super creeped out by it. She plays it off like it's no big deal to her friends, but personally it's traumatic. I mean, how could it not be? After Katie for me is Miranda. See, the only problem is we're working off the premise that Miranda is the dead person. So I think this is, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's an issue of where we stopped in the book or the fact that like the book just hasn't revealed it yet. And it could potentially not even be revealed until the last 20 pages. We have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So based on the way we wanted to do this, we unfortunately have to work off some assumptions of who's dead. But I think either way, either Miranda's stalker is the murderer or the murderee, personally. So the next on my list was Miranda herself. If she's not the murdered person, then she could definitely be the murderer. I mean, she has it all except for a good job, and murdering is technically a job. So, that would kind of be the last thing she needs in life is a job, and she got one, murdering people.
Yeah, seemingly she doesn't seem very good at it because she left a lot of obvious traits. Like there's a lot of ways you could kill someone in this place, it seems like, but strangling them doesn't seem like the best way to do it, no?
Yes, which seems like the way the body, based on what
Right.
we know so far, it seems like that was the case.
Yeah, it seems like she wouldn't be very good at that. That's what she's
Okay,
doing.
so who's next on your list after
Um,
you had Emma and Mark?
I had Miranda in the same spot, so I had it'd be Miranda, then Julian above her, and then I think we've covered everyone, but then that would be Katie is the number one. So it would be Katie number
Yeah.
one, Julian number two, Miranda number three.
And Julian is Miranda's husband. He's involved in the insider trading. He won't have sex with his beautiful wife, even when he's on ecstasy. So his priorities are definitely screwed up. So if his priorities are screwed up, then he could definitely murder someone. That's my thought process for
Yeah,
Julian.
and that I also would tie that in with Mark has some secret over him as well that
Mm.
that we don't
So
know. There's something else dark there that I think is gonna be revealed later, and it's gonna like paint the picture as Julian is not like he's
okay.
obviously already being painted as not someone that's not great, but now it's like even more so. I would say once that gets revealed.
So what about Doug? Doug's the gamekeeper. He kind
Oh
of
yeah, I
is the
skipped Doug.
loner.
Oops.
What do you think? Doug? He's an ex-marine.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Once a marine, always a marine. So he's a marine. He's got some serious PTSD. I mean, he's seen some shit. He's done some shit. So what's one more
hmm
murder under the belt?
I think he falls into the Mark category as like he also we know in the present tense that he found the body. So I don't know if that's
Well, he says he found the.
that could be the case there.
I picture Doug as the most Scottish person that
I
has
think
ever
I have the
existed.
best movie character for him possible. I don't think you can beat me on this one, but
If it's a young Sean Connery, then I'm okay with it.
that is actually damn it, damn it. All right, well I'm just gonna reveal mine. Mine was Tom Hardy, who like doesn't talk ever and just has those like I'm gonna murder you eyes. Like I've
Oh,
seen things eyes. You know what I mean? Like
oh,
I think
yeah.
he's just perfect for him, and he barely talks, so it works either way. But yeah, I think we need to find out what Doug's past is. Like we obviously know it's dark. He obviously came back from the war, I think, right? And then something else
Yeah,
happened where he got
Afghanistan.
basically like it sounds like they gave him a pass because he was a soldier, and then he was like, all right, well, they're gonna give me a pass. I gotta go and like prison myself, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know if it was from that. I think he did three
Yeah,
tours. I don't know if it's from that or like what he saw overseas that affected him, but definitely has potential for murder. So
yeah, and he's
um,
drip sex apparently because everyone wants to bang him.
yeah,
So
he's hot. He's hot.
yeah, that's where
So
Tom
there's
Hardy
that.
has that like I could live out in a cabin by myself, but like come out and every single girl wants to bang me still. Look, you
Yeah,
know?
he's like jacked with translucent Scottish skin. Yeah, Heather sees him jumping into the lock, and, in the middle of the winter to go swimming. And it
So,
was
do we need to
ripped.
bring this segment out there? Did you get a boner?
I got a
Yeah.
boner. I mean, Heather sure did,
Yeah.
because she says afterwards that she looked at him, felt a little ashamed, not super ashamed, because she hit the bathtub and did a little scratching on the ones and twos, and had her first orgasm in a year. So she says, so, good for her, and good for Doug. Really,
Yeah.
I think there are two sex-starved characters in this book, and it just seems like if this was a rom-com, they would be hooking up at the end and realize
Yeah.
that they love each other. Before I get into my top two, I want to take a brief discussion about the Highland Ripper. There's been some talk in the book of this serial killer who's in the Scottish Highlands murdering people, and he's been on a tear, or assuming because most serial killers are. Why couldn't it be this person that we don't even know existed yet in the Highland Ripper?
Interesting. So you're saying it could be Doug?
Well, someone's been roving around the Scottish Highlands murdering people. The book's set in Scotland, and there's a murder in the book. So all the boxes are checked. I mean, this is actually directly taken, I'm pretty sure, from the Yorkshire Ripper, which is a real person. I'm not going to say the guy's name because we don't promote serial killers on this podcast.
Yeah, we never
But
have, never will.
he killed 13 women, at least proven to kill at least 13 women in the 70s and the 80s. It's actually on Netflix now. There's a documentary. It's called The Ripper, and it's pretty good. So this was the Yorkshire Ripper, and also in the UK. I'm pretty sure that she took that idea and kind of carried it over into creating the Highland Ripper. So I think it could be a potential suspect. It could also be the person who did this murder could be one of the friends who could also be the Highland Ripper. Those things are possible. It could be very Scooby-Doo-esque.
I thought it was an ode to the Scranton Strangler from The Office. That's why I honestly was thinking it was similar to. Oh yeah, obviously that was just like kind of a passing comment everyone talks about.
It's just fucking Toby. It just comes out. It's Toby going around murdering people in Scotland.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: was Prius accounted for at this point? Do we not know Prius hasn't gone on a killing streak or no?
The baby?
Yeah.
The baby could have killed
calling it Prius. I still don't know the gender of that baby. But
yeah, I mean, you get a small enough knife, or I don't know if its hands are big enough to strangle, so maybe they just didn't get a good view.
Interesting.
But okay, my 1 and 2, like I said before, is Emma and Mark, who are a couple. Mark is their friend from college, and Emma's the new girlfriend. So as we talked about, it's hard when you're new to a group to kind of assimilate into that group. So that's kind of her role in this story, and we do get some first-person narrative from her. We don't get first-person narrative from everyone. So Emma's kind of thing is she wants to fit in. She wants to be part of the group. She also wants to be just like Miranda. I think someone commented at the dinner table, I think it was Doug, that, well, he didn't say it at the dinner table, but his thoughts was like Emma looks just like a smaller, uglier, or less pretty, let's say, less pretty version of Miranda. She has like bleached blonde hair to look like Miranda. Emma even says she wants to ask Miranda what her nail polish color is because she wants to have that too. So she's like really trying to be Miranda, and she's also trying to please everyone else by getting, like, she set up this place and she wants everyone to be happy and have fun, and she got all the food, and she's going to make this like elaborate meal. A brief pause for the meal she's trying to create. She's trying to do like beef Wellington. As someone who likes to cook for a big group, don't overshoot, just make good food. If you try to make a beef Wellington and like the pastry starts slipping off the beef,
especially this type of trip, everyone's getting hammered and doing drugs. Like a good burger goes a long way here. I don't think you need to fucking roll out a meal that people will never forget type of thing.
Yeah, you're gonna ruin your vacation by spending 3 days in the kitchen. I mean, come on.
But also the reason, so on the one hand, I definitely completely sympathize with Emma trying to fit in. Also, I don't think she's trying to like necessarily be Miranda. I think she's just like trying to ingratiate herself with her, right? She's like, hey, what do you like?
It seems like from what there was that brief moment where I think it was Doug who was saying it, and he was like, "This looks like she's trying to be exactly like her, like wear the same clothes,
oh, okay,
look like her." Kind of
That's a
creepy.
good point. But
Kind of creepy.
the psychopath's vibes that if you want to say Emma's the killer, the one thing you point to is Katie's like helping her cut meat and she just starts bleeding on it because Katie's a psychopath also. That's why I kind of have her as the top killer. But Emma's like, oh my God, you got cut. And she's like, this motherfucking bitch messed up my cooking. Like that's her first thought. She wasn't like, oh my God, this chick's bleeding everywhere. She was like,
yeah, damn right.
You just ruined my
What if I
meal.
made a great meal and
Yeah.
someone decided to bleed on it and people are like, oh, I'm not going to eat it now. It's like, A, whatever, eat some blood. B,
Yeah.
that's fucked up. Don't ruin my meal. So I'm with Emma
Yeah.
here. But my only trepidation with her not being the killer or being the killer, I guess, is that people who cook for their loved ones, they can't be murderers. They, they're just,
wow.
they have
That's
too much
you heard it
love
here
in them.
first, future detectives that are listening to this podcast.
Yeah. And my number one is Mark. We talked about how he's the most
Yeah.
obvious. And he's the most obvious because he's got a super short fuse. He comes from a physically abusive household. His father used to beat him. He smashes pictures that he doesn't like against the wall. Did you get that line in there?
No.
Emma was talking about how when they get angry sometimes, like there was a picture on the wall that he didn't like, so he smashed it. All right, bro. Either you're like a huge art critic or like you're really short fuse. He wasn't super big because he's a rugby player, him and Julian. He wasn't super big and then got super big by, quote, drinking protein shakes. Yeah, he's roided up. All right, let's be serious. This guy is roided the fuck
100%.
up. So he's got the roid rage. And also, Emma notes that he looks quite similar when he's turned on as when he's angry. That's fucked up. What?
But Emma also likes that, so she's a straight psychopath.
Hence my number one and number two.
All right. I'm moving Emma up the rankings now that I'm talking it out. And she's a ride or die. She's like, if Mark killed the person right in front of her, she'd be like, all right, as long as you didn't fuck up my meal, and like now let me cover up for you. Like that's
don't put the blood on the meat. Yeah. Also, let's have sex because you have that look in your eyes. And he's like, no, this is my murder look. And she's like, I can't tell the difference. So that's creepy enough. All right, so that's our cast of characters, and that's who we think. So give me again your top three. Top three.
Yeah, I had Katie 1, Julian 2, Miranda 3.
Okay, I have Mark 1. Well, it's Emma 1. Emma 1, Mark 2, Julian 3. That's mine. So I guess let's talk about the stalker. Who do you think is Miranda's stalker? Because the stalker has to be here, right?
Yeah, I think, well, you go first. I thought we were going to have the same exact thing here, but I want to hear your take first. Because I think mine might be a little bit more out of left field, but I thought it wasn't at all.
Okay, well, my number one for the stalker is the same as my number one for the killer, and it's Emma. It's her stalker is definitely Emma. There's no question in my mind.
But she didn't know her in college.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
she knew,
okay.
She knew.
So she's
her,
like dating
no
Mark
one,
because okay.
She knew her, but no one knew that she knew her.
Okay.
So, couple points here. The stalking stopped a couple of years ago. Emma came into the picture a couple of years ago. Coincidence? Also, the locked in the bathroom story, that sold it for me. That was like, oh, okay. There's like a point when Emma, when she's all fucked up on the drugs, is like, oh, Miranda, remember that time when you got locked in the bathroom at that house party? Like, that was crazy. And Miranda was like, oh, wait.
Yeah, were you there? Yeah.
Years ago. You weren't there for that. And she was like, oh, no, that must have happened a couple of years. Like, Emma kind of tried to slide in like, oh, no, like that happened a year ago and whatever. And then like they moved off of it. So Emma was like this, like she looked totally different. That's why she's trying to look like Miranda now. But she used to be like black-haired, totally different looking creep. They make it seem like the stalker is a man purposely because the stalker is not a man. It's a woman, and it's Emma. Done deal.
All right. Well, we're a little bit off there. I'm going to say the stalker is also a woman and is number 3 on my list. The Miranda stalker is Miranda. Dun, dun,
what?
Dun. All right. Hear me out. First off, she's definitely bipolar because she's like, yeah, I don't remember taking these pictures at all. And there's like all these groups of friends that I've had that I don't know them at all. She's leaving herself notes when she does things bad. She's like, you shouldn't have stole that type of thing. Or she like does things where she like cheats and then like throws it away. There's no possible way anyone can do that except for herself. Everything points to her doing this to herself, not someone else stalking her and doing this. And everything, it just seems like that she's talking about is someone that's bipolar and not someone that like is sneaking in and misplacing something for her and then giving it back to her. That just sounds really off. So I think
Interesting.
that I also think is why Katie is upset with her, because she went one of her bipolar like things and like went off on her or something like that. And I also think Mark, I don't know if this is right, but I feel like Mark like groped her for some reason, but that might have been because they've already done something where she doesn't remember it. That's what it just seems so weird that it would happen like that.
Very Memento. This is very Memento like.
You like that? It's a little Fight Club-esque is what I'm thinking.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
You like that? I thought you were thinking the same thing. I was like, yep, we're on the same path here.
No, not at all. But I don't hate that at all. No, that's interesting. I think it's possible. It's possible.
Okay,
how would they know? How would they know that all this stuff's important to her? That's like pretty personal.
She's like, yeah, that I went up to the mall and I stole something, and then like someone else stole it back and was like, don't steal. And I was like, wait, what? Like,
yeah, subconscious.
A lot of stuff that's interesting there.
I like it. I like it a lot. Although the stalker's Emma, but either way, I like.
Maybe
it.
Emma and Miranda are the same person.
Okay, one other unanswered question I had. They talk about this trip to Ibiza, where the whole group went except for Miranda, who didn't go. And Katie wouldn't take any drugs in Ibiza, but finally let loose, took drugs one night, and had sex with someone. But the next day, none of the guys were sniggering or anything, so she didn't really know who she had sex with because it was a dark room. Who did Katie have sex with?
So was that people that were at this party? I couldn't really tell.
Everyone. Yeah, everyone was there except for Miranda.
Thought because Miranda. Oh, okay. Everyone was there but Miranda. Oh, okay. Correct. That I didn't really read between the lines because I'm only reading between the lines of different things. That changes my mind. I think that's also why Katie, I think, has some weird shit going on where she's, I don't know, maybe Prius is Katie's baby. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh shit! She had sex with Samira, and they had a baby.
That's how that works, right?
I think so. I don't know. I didn't take any health classes, or at least they weren't that informative. Okay, I think it was Julian. I think she had sex with Julian.
Okay, and is that what Mark is maybe inferring too?
And so, yeah, that could be what Mark is inferring, that he knows something happened.
Or is he implying? Yeah.
Definitely knows.
Okay.
So I think it was Julian, hence why no one would talk about it, or Julian wouldn't boast about it. But Mark might have seen them, in which case, like, your best friend hooking up with your now husband in a vacation spot that you weren't at, like, come on, what's more scandalous than that?
True. So, that's a really good point.
And then that would also lead to why Miranda might murder Katie, if Katie's the dead person, or vice versa.
Gotcha. Yep. That you're making a lot of sense, and you're coming with my number one, where I think it's Katie or Miranda vice versa. So we're on board. That actually helps my point. Good point, D-man. Yes. And Miranda's bipolar.
All right. Before we get into some of the other tangential parts of this conversation, do you have anything else to say about the plot lines or the murderees type of stuff?
I think we covered Doug's dark past. I think that I don't know what he did, but I'm guessing he like lit a fire or something that ended up getting Heather's husband killed or something. I don't know. There's definitely going to be some shit that's going to like connect the dots, because there's no reason they would put those things together, or they put those in the story, unless there's something going on there that's going to make you think at the end of the book, oh, they're the killer, or they're the killer. But I think we'll find out. But I think that'll be interesting.
Well, I guess we can take a break for our sponsors. But before that, pop quiz hot shot.
Oh, shit.
Pop quiz hot shot. There's a bomb on a bus.
Speed, great movie, by the way. Just when they're on the bus. After the bus, it's kind of not that great. Also, a really gnarly death at the beginning when the guy's going up the elevator shaft. I think about it every time I go in an elevator.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So this pop quiz is brought to you by the British Slang Emporium. All right. This is a British novel. It's full of little British tidbits that us Yankee folk might not be familiar with. So I have a few British words in here that I'd like to see.
Oh shit. This is it's funny you bring this up. I literally have this as my love of the book, is that the British talking stuff.
I love it. I really do. And that's like the one reason why I'm mad I'm not listening to it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
I
especially the
literally wrote
Scottish.
"love, talk British to me." I
All
hope
right.
some of the words
Well,
intertwine here, but go on.
we're gonna start easy and we'll work from there. I think I got like
Yeah,
6, so see how quickly you can
I
go
like
through.
it. You better do it in a
Pissed.
British accent.
Pissed.
Wait, are you doing it in a British accent? I don't even know what that word means.
No, I'm not. I can't.
Are you are you saying to take the piss out of someone, or are you saying
No,
they're?
that's a different thing.
Oh,
That's a
okay. Piss,
different
I
thing.
think believes I mean someone's drunk, like you're
Correct.
pissed. Okay.
Someone's drunk.
Ding ding, we're
There.
back.
I have no idea where it came from, and neither does the internet. But being pissed means you're drunk.
Okay, I like
So
it.
during this podcast, Keith will get pissed. All right, number 2, torch. I'll use it in a sentence.
Torch.
Bo, Julian, and Emma using the torches provided by the lodge to light the way.
Oh yeah, flashlight. I think I would have got that even without the sentence. Now that I think
Got
about
you.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yes, it's flashlight in America, torch everywhere in like all other American or English speaking countries. Sorry.
Isn't that
Uh,
confusing if you like have a torch also?
so they call that.
Fire stick?
Oh no, but there's a word for shoot. I forget now, because they call that like a lit torch or something like that. I personally I like torch.
Yeah,
It's
I
way
don't hate
better
it.
than flashlight. Like it doesn't even flash. Why do we call it a flashlight?
I
You
might
know?
start using torch to mean hot. Like, oh, that chick's torch. I kind of like
Oh,
that.
I kind of like that too.
Yeah, you can have that one.
Yeah. All right. I'll take it. But I just think in general we should say pass me the torch. It
Yeah,
makes more
I
sense.
appreciate that.
And you can kind of see how the word grew because obviously they're using torches to light the way, and
Yeah.
then eventually someone electrifies it, and
Here's the
it's a
thing
new
though with
torch.
that is that if you use that and someone is American and hands you literally a stick that's on fire and you grab it, that might be a bad day for you. So that's the only issue if you start using that without.
If I was on a camping trip
Yeah.
and I asked someone to pass me the torch and they handed me a lit
Firing
piece of
stick.
wood out of the fire,
Yeah.
I would be like, "This is the coolest thing ever."
And your hand would be on fire when you grabbed it from the wrong end. But okay.
Well, I wouldn't do that. But,
All right.
all right. Next one up. A little harder. A lorry.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Can I use it? Can I hear it in a sentence?
I was driving down the highway. I looked left and saw a lorry driving by.
Like a cab?
No, a lorry is a large truck. So in American
Oh, okay.
English, we'd call it like a
Wait,
semi.
is it a lorry or is it a lorry?
Lorry is the word.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's just what they use for a truck. Not like
Okay.
not like a pickup truck, but like a truck that carries around goods.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Also, the Strangler, the Yorkshire Strangler in real life was a lorry driver. So ties it all together.
Interesting.
Okay, next one up. Wellies. Wellies. I'll use it in a sentence. They came with proper gear, making the coats and hunter wellies the other lot wore look slightly ridiculous.
I don't know. A pants?
Mm,
I don't know what wellies are.
Close. Little bit lower. Wellington boots, or
Ooh.
known
Okay.
in American as rubber boots or galoshes, named after
I
the
like
Duke
that.
of Wellington. I feel like so the hunter boots that all the chick wears, that all the
Yeah.
chicks wear, that's what they're wearing. So they even said they came with proper gear, making the coats and hunter wellies. So it's those like rubber boots.
I like
Next
it.
one up. Pikey. And used in a sentence. And then Mark decided to make some comments about the place being overrun with pikeys.
Yeah, I was thinking in my mind, Pikey's from what's that soccer hooligan movie there? Is it
Green
called
Street
Hooligan?
Hooligans.
Yeah. I was thinking Pikey is using that often. I assume it just means like a pikeman is like a frontline soldier that's maybe lower class, a lower class person.
Oh, I mean, great thought process, but no.
Yeah. Damn, I really wanted to hit a home run that one.
It's a good one. It's a pejorative slang term for the traveling community of Great Britain and Ireland. So think of gypsies or Brad Pitt's character in Snatch.
Okay, so it
The
would
movie
probably be
Snatch?
used in Green Street Hooligans, I would assume.
Oh, 100%.
okay,
Yeah, they'd
okay.
be like, a bunch of fucking pikeys.
Yeah. That sounded like a derogative term. I didn't know what it was, but okay.
Yeah, so it's a gypsy, basically.
Okay.
It's possible the word came from turnpike, the common byway for these folks. Or
so not pikemen at all.
No. Or there's an Old English verb, pika, which means to steal, which could have been the source of the phrase. So,
Okay, interesting.
I got two more for you. One quick here. Blag. Used in a sentence. I remember our teenage years blagging our way into the nightclubs.
Is that like convincing, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. It's to do something by trick or deception.
Okay.
So
I would, if you didn't use it in a sentence, I wouldn't have got that at all.
Yeah, I like that one though.
Yeah.
We're blagging our way in there.
Yeah. Sounds like some sort of sexual thing though, but yeah.
It really does. And then my last one.
D-Man definitely blagged his way to get into nightclubs. Let me tell you what.
No, I was in the nightclubs and I was blagging everyone.
Yeah.
All right. And the last one we have is sixth form.
No
and
idea.
Using this sentence, or when my sixth form boyfriend dumped me rather unceremoniously.
Oh, is that like grad school? Like, I know they were talking about certain testing or like third tests
not
or
bad.
something.
Not bad. Sixth form would be equivalent to our 12th grade, our senior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not that.
So it's kind of interesting, especially like in I know Canada, just because my family's Canadian, that like high school only goes to 11th grade. And then you take like your first 2 years of university are your 12th and 13th year.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. And then you go on for like 3 more years or that's college. And then you go on 3 more years at university or whatever the case is. But so there we go. I think you did overall. You did pretty well.
Thank you. I had a couple more that weren't obviously words. They were just, I loved hearing them say them in the book. So the one was fancy. Do you fancy a drink? Or having a shag, which we love. If someone said, "Do you want to have a shag to me?"
Yeah, a shag to rotten, baby. Yeah.
One I didn't like very much was swimming costume.
Oh, swimming costume's horrible.
I do like, and I want to start dropping these in just like regular day. Privacy is privacy. It's like, yeah, mine is privacy. Yeah, and then I hate this. Schedule is what they say.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't care for it. It makes sense of how you read it, but yeah, it sounds fucking weird.
Definitely. I think
so schedule, I guess I would say
taking the piss out of someone is
I like that a lot. Yeah, I like
also, that. if someone's like making fun of you or something, like having a laugh,
yeah,
they use that as a thing. I like that as well. There's a lot of British idiosyncrasies, idioms, whatever you want to call them, but they're great. Okay, thanks for I give you a passing grade. Thank you. 70%.
That's basically what I got in all of high school and college. So we're right there. We love that.
All right, let's cast this fucking movie, baby. Is this a movie or is this a TV series?
Yeah, I think a TV series would be better, actually.
Disagree.
I think you can span it out and you can almost do like a Lost element of it where each episode is one character's story almost, and you can basically span it out. You know how Lost has like how each story or each episode kind of ties into that character's background. So you could almost do this episode is specifically about Doug, where Doug is leading the story for or narrative for the present tense, and then you're also seeing his history during that episode.
Yeah, you'd have to expand a lot more into people's pasts.
Yeah.
So you need to really get into Doug's past. You need to get into Heather's past.
Yeah.
You need like a whole episode on the whole stalker craze and like their college years. But I think it fits better for a movie personally. I just think this is kind of like one of those quick, give it 2 hours and you can flesh it out mostly.
Okay.
But either way, we have unlimited budget for this cast. So don't feel like you're hamstrung by budgeting here. All right. Especially because the set itself is going to be pretty cheap. We just got to go to the Scottish Highlands and rent out a lodge. Like, we're good. It mostly takes place in, 4 different rooms. So let's go crazy with the cast. I'm going to start with Julian, Miranda's husband. And because this is British, I went with a British cast naturally.
Oh, okay. I did half British. I think we did the same thing last time.
Yeah. So for Julian, I have Charlie Hunnam, which is actually, he was in Green Street Hooligans.
Yeah.
And is the main character in Sons of Anarchy, plays Jax, I think is the character's name. But I think he's good because these guys are rugby players. He's great looking.
Yeah.
He's strapping, but he's not going to be bigger than Mark because I think that's important. I think Mark has to be the biggest. But he's just a good looking, but also potentially nefarious person.
Interesting. I actually had him as Mark. So, because I basically was thinking of a British person. Yeah, that's bigger.
That's hilarious.
And he can have like a mean streak to him, right? Like, that's why I kind of felt like he'd be good for that.
I switched my Mark and Julian characters.
Wow,
so
okay.
Who did you have for Julian?
For Julian, I had an American actor. I had Ben Affleck.
Don't hate it at all.
Oh, yeah. He's like, can play that like kind of brooding, but like good looking dude. So I think they'd be good for that.
Okay. And then since you said Mark, for Mark, I had Henry Cavill, Superman, aka.
Oh, yeah. Do you think he could be I guess he can be mean in The Witcher, but like I feel like he's too like American sweetheart type guy.
Yeah, I agree, but I think you could kind of gruff him up a bit,
Yeah.
and
Like, can you
shadow.
believe that face came from like got beat up as a kid type
And
face
like
where like,
fuck that kid up at the
yeah,
dog track. Yeah,
yeah,
but I think it
like not
can.
human or Hunman, or what's his last name? I can't even say.
Hunnam.
Yeah, I believe that is a guy that like grew up at hard times, whereas I don't know if I believe it for the.
I think. I
I
mean,
think you switch him back.
I think Henry. This is a great role for Henry Cavill. He plays the pretty boy so often
Oh, okay.
that for him to have like this is his like this is how you can sell him on this role is like, hey, you're gonna have a little bit of a dark side in here. We're gonna cast the light down on you so you get some shadows under your eyes. Like this is. You're going to have some shit going on. And he'll be like, oh, okay, I can fuck that. But Mark also has to still be hot, like he's still a desirable guy. And Henry Cavill's huge. Who else you got for this cast?
For Miranda, and first I do want to bring up that the weird trope that I really don't like, maybe it's just a society, but they always kind of do this in movies and things like that, where the hot bitchy girl, right, who Miranda is, or like the hot like attention-seeking girl, she always kind of runs the girl group, and she's like the most important person to everyone, but only people will talk bad about her behind her back. Whereas if it's a guy and it's the hot, good-looking guy that's arrogant, like the true friends will shit on him and bring him down to his level. Like, why does that now ever happen on the girl side? You know what I mean? Like the true friends, if you're a good-looking dude friend that like goes out and does well with girls, you're always making fun of him just because
you've always been a big proponent for women's rights, so I get it.
But you see what I'm saying? Like that, I don't care for like the.
There is a
this chick's the worst. Yeah, this chick's the worst because she's hot. It's like, well, the friends should just say right to her face, like, stop being a bitch, and that would stop that, right?
I think that's fair, but I also don't think that's necessarily how women operate. But all right, who do you got for?
But yeah, I just don't like the trope. Anyways, I had Blake Lively from. Have you seen Simple Favor?
Bad.
She plays that like a perfect. She basically just runs the life of the girl from Pitch Perfect. I can't think of her name, but she's like, who could be Emma in this situation almost. Like, it'd be almost perfect.
Yeah.
But,
Blake Lively, not the town Blake Lively, but Simple
no.
Plan Blake Lively or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I Gossip Girl. Shout out season 1 through 5. What? Who said that?
Wow. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Hey, to our female listeners out there, you can check in. Keith got it. I had Sienna Miller for Miranda. She plays Bradley Cooper's love interest in both American Sniper and Burnt. She's beautiful. She's blonde. She's a great actress. She's could be two-faced, I feel like, which is important for this role. Mm-hmm. So that's what I had for Miranda.
No, that's good.
Go on. Who else you got?
For Emma, I had Keira Knightley. I feel like kind of miniature, kind of reserved, but also is like, I could just see her being the cook.
That checks out. I had Felicity Jones.
Okay.
From Rogue One.
Oh, I was actually thinking of putting her there also. And I was like,
no way.
I was very, very close to doing that. And because I think she can almost be too powerful from Rogue One. So I was like, I want to do someone that's a little bit.
Okay. Well, if you saw Theory of Everything, the Stephen Hawking movie, well, she's great in there playing kind of like the meek wife. Although she's not necessarily meek because she has a lot of power in that movie. But I think she definitely hold this role. Did you have any other women?
Yeah, I had for Katie, I had Daisy Ridley because I love her, but also I think she could play like the mysterious Brown Eyes. Okay.
The only person I had for her was a potential. I wasn't really in love with this though, but the chick who plays Daenerys Targaryen. What's that actress's name?
Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, Emilia Clarke.
Yeah,
that checks out for me. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the guys here. Giles, right? He's your goofy, fun-loving, slightly bald guy. I mean,
I didn't even have someone for him, but go on.
Simon Pegg. It plays itself.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. I didn't know if I knew who he was, and I was like, I think it's that one British dude that plays in all the comedies. Yeah, okay.
And truthfully, Simon Pegg could write this movie. So he could be actor and writer, maybe even director. I don't know, but he's shown that he can do all of the above. So I could see him there. Okay, you didn't have one for him. Let's get into Doug. What do you think about Doug?
Well, I already told you this, and I told you this was the best pick I've ever had. Tom Hardy,
Oh,
behind
right.
those
Sorry.
those beautiful, gorgeous eyes, you don't know what's back there.
And that's exactly the kind of person I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I had two options. My first one was Michael Fassbender.
Yes, good one. I like that.
Yeah,
I had that originally, and I went to Tom Hardy because it was way better. But no, I'm gonna keep that.
And Michael Fassbender played Macbeth in Macbeth, which is a Scottish movie, so he could definitely do that. But he wasn't my favorite. My favorite was a young Vinnie Jones. So Vinnie Jones is the guy from Snatch. He's in all those movies. Shit, why can't I? The director just slipped my head. Guy Ritchie. He's in all the Guy Ritchie movies.
Gone in 60 Seconds. Are you serious? Come on.
I haven't seen that in a while, actually. So
Get out.
But
Leave.
yeah, Vinnie Jones seems perfect for that role, like a younger version of him. I mean, he's
kind of a caricature. I bet this guy's gonna be a little bit darker than that at the end of this. But yeah, I can see. I see what you're saying.
And then who else do we have here? I think that's kind of my list.
Did you have one for Heather?
I didn't have one for Heather.
Okay, I had Rooney Mara.
I do like Rooney Mara. I mean, come on, she's the heiress to the Mara Rooney fortune.
Yeah, the candy bar NFL fortune, right?
No, both her grandparents own NFL franchises. The Steelers and the Giants. Why is that funny?
No, I know that. I was laughing at my terrible joke, but go on.
Okay. The last person I had was the Icelandic guy.
Oh, here we go.
He's going to be the bad guy from Die Hard, the original movie, the blonde guy.
That's a really rare one, but I like it.
He got the ponytail, and like obviously he needs to be at the Die Hard age, but that guy, so fucking perfect.
I was thinking like SNL characters playing European, like that's who I was thinking of for like or in like Beer Fest when they play like the German characters, like that's who I'm thinking of for those people.
Grandpapa.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got a pretty good cast here. Before we get out of here,
okay.
I got one BS. Katie not being invited to parties in high school. This was a big problem for me. She's a woman. She's in high school.
Yep.
I was in high school. If a girl's going to come to your party, that's a good thing. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who it is. Plus, she has friends, so she'll bring her friends. She was like, oh, I always had to wait for Miranda to invite me to the parties, or I had to go with Miranda because no one else would invite me. It's like, no, you're a group. Like, everyone's inviting everyone else. Like, just like inviting all the chicks for sure. So, maybe they reached out to Miranda, but they were like, hey, you bringing any friends?
Right.
Yeah, I'm bringing Katie.
Yeah,
I think like, no one invited me in high school. It's like, yeah, dude. Guys want chicks at parties. Doesn't matter.
If you have a more social buddy, he'll invite you to things because they'll expect that. And same thing with girls.
I do think
bring
it
your
is.
Friends.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think it is kind of fair, I guess, though, to like never be the one being called, but to know that you're invited because they are. But like that's kind of like how I was like in high school. Like my good buddy was just like a friendlier person. So people would call him, be like, hey, you guys coming over? And be like, yeah. And to be like, all right, cool.
I guess it could have been how Miranda worded it.
Or just Katie's interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, Miranda was invited and I wasn't. It was like, no, they just called Miranda. And
and Miranda's bipolar, so you don't know what's going on through her head.
Yeah, maybe they called her alter ego.
Yeah, and she just forgot to say. Yeah, I agreed.
All right. Well, we love our listeners and we appreciate them reaching out with any sort of questions, comments, and concerns. So what do we got this week?
You've got mail.
Yeah, we got Betsy from Texas. Sounds like a real person to me. Betsy. Yeah.
Betsy from Texas. Betsy.
She wrote in, hey, D-Man and Keith. Love the pod. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. This sounds like a good start. You guys sound really attractive is what she said. Whoa, but I digress.
Sorry, I'm taken.
What's up with these British fucks wearing PJs to go to bed? Does anyone actually do that? And that's a great question. PJ sets. I know, I believe Katie, or no, maybe Emma was wearing a PJ set. Do you know anyone that does this? Is this a thing? Is that real? I know it's on TV and movies, but have you ever seen anyone wear a PJ set?
Great question, Betsy.
Thank you, Betsy. Again, appreciate listening.
I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah.
So they did also mention it with Miranda when Julian was coming into bed. She was like, don't put your pajamas on. Like, let's fuck.
Oh, right. Yep.
I also found it to be odd, but I do think, I watched a lot of Disney movies as a kid, and like the idea of like someone wearing PJs, like full on pajamas, like pants, long sleeve shirt, and
Yeah.
nightcap was like a real fucking thing in my mind. And I never understood it. I mean, my mom is a huge fan of these. She wears them
Really?
to this day. She wears the
Like
full
she doesn't
on.
get up and put them on.
No,
She's
she
about to go to
wears,
sleep and puts them on.
yes, pajama
Really?
pants and like a button down
A
shirt,
button down?
pajama shirt. Yeah, yeah. And she buys these things for me for
Are
Christmas.
you
And
serious?
yeah.
What a reveal, Betsy.
And,
Wow.
and I'm like, Mom, I'm not like, I'm personally a boxer sleeper,
Yes.
it's TMI, but that's how I go. And by boxers, I mean boxer briefs, of course, because I'm not a
Yes.
savage.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of my Catholic shame that I don't like to be penis out all the time. But
Oh,
I
you're saying
definitely,
the other it'd be in the nude. It's boxer or in the nude.
yeah, in the nude. That's the only other option.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, the
Yeah.
idea of the point of having covers on your bed is to do the role of whatever this long sleeve. This isn't turn of the century with oil lamps and no heat. Like, what do you, plus they like tug all around you.
Yeah.
I do think it is a British thing though.
Okay. I used to
What's
be
your
a
take?
t-shirt sleep wearer, and I used to like it a lot. It used to like be comfortable, and then you kind of graduate and you wear it not one time, and you're like, oh wow, this is a life change. Like, I feel like if you've ever slept without it one time, then you're like, I'm never going back to a full set of PJs. Also, like the best part of my day is just fucking taking shit off and getting into bed. Like, imagine taking shit off and being like, well, now I got to button up my fucking PJ set. That's like
Yeah,
the worst thing ever.
I to play devil's advocate here, I think the opposite is true though, because when I get out of bed in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, I need to get clothes on because it's so cold. And then you put
Mm.
cold clothes on and it just gets you so you don't want to get out of bed. But if you're wearing like a full set of PJs, then you get out of bed and you're ready to go.
You still need to change them. What are you gonna wear
No,
those? That's the okay.
It's
All right.
work from home. It's COVID, baby.
Yeah. All right. I can if that's your answer. The reason is because they're about to work from home and wear this the rest of the day. All right. Fair enough.
But we do all own a pair of PJ pants. We just
Oh
don't
yeah.
wear them in bed.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I wear them sometimes when it's freezing, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
like
match
felt
them
pants.
with the top. Yeah.
The top is really the weird part.
Yeah. That's really what it is.
And they're always button downs. They're
Yeah.
like a button down. Like I'd wake up in the
Imagine
middle of the
hitting
night.
that. Yeah. You're hitting like rubbing against your like stomach or some shit and just like indenting. Oh my god. That'd be miserable.
Horrible. Great question. I didn't think we'd go this long on it, but yeah, it obviously struck a chord. So, but I will be researching if this is a British thing or not. Are you liking this book so far?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Again, I think if it ended right now, then I'd probably wouldn't, but I think it's setting the table, it's setting you up, it's giving you a lot to think about, and that entices me. And I'm not ever at a point where I'm like, this is getting boring. I need to turn this off. Even when they're talking about like rambling stuff and not necessarily like to the core of the story, I'm still kind of engaged and being like, how is this going to impact the story later on? I know you had some trepidations with that, but I think as you get to the ending, if there's a big like full circle reveal, you'll like it. These are my favorite type of movies too, like ones that like everything builds up to one crescendo, right? So I like it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. And I think it's hard to say with a book like this where we're stopping halfway through because the whole point is for the last 50 pages to be page turners. Like you can't stop. It's kind of like when you read, and I had to bring up Harry Potter because I have to every single episode. It's like when you read Prisoner of Azkaban and the last 50 pages of that book, you just could not put down. Like it's like I don't care whatever I was doing, I'm finishing this.
You don't
book.
even know you're reading at that point. You're literally in the book. Like you forget you're reading words.
Exactly.
That's the best feeling in the world.
I'm eating Easy Mac and I'm reading that book nonstop and I'm just immersed in it. Well said. Exactly. So it's hard with this book, but with that being said, I just think there's like a little too much buildup. Continues to be like whiny characters about how like
I
shit
can see
sucks.
That. Yeah.
And it's like I'm 150 pages in, I'm halfway through the book and like nothing has changed. So I think we have reached a tipping point here. So I think it's going to be interesting going forward and I'm excited to get into it. But, I guess the more we've talked about this over the last hour has definitely got me excited to finish reading or continuing to read it tonight. But I'm not in love with it.
Okay.
But at the
That's
same time, I
understandable.
many mysteries to kind of compare it to, which we'll get into next week. I want to hear about other ones that you like in this realm, or movies, whatever. Okay, that was pretty good. Next week, we're going to be discussing the second half of the book. Until then, please subscribe, rate, review us on iTunes, and follow along with us on Twitter at Buddy Book Club. That's about it for me.
Buddy Book Club Podcast at gmail.com, at Buddy Book Club on Twitter, Buddy Book Club Podcast on IG.
If you have any questions or comments or concerns,
Betsy, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Betsy. If you have any PJ-related commentary or other, hit us up there. Until next time, we'll be heading out, and take care, Keith. Love you, buddy.
Play that music. Love you too. Got him.
Yeah, got him.